After an embarrassing 2024 summer, where the US men's national team became the first host nation to get grouped in Copa America history, we all thought it could not get any worse. So Berhalter was fired and a big hire was made. Mauricio Pochettino was brought in. Fast forward around 10 months later, and one can argue the US men's national team just had an even more embarrassing performance. This time in the CONCACAF Nations League semifinals and losers game, with a 1-0 loss to Panama and then a 2-1 loss to Canada, all in the same stadium that they will play two group stage games in the 2026 World Cup. So today, we are going to be recapping this shit show that was the US men's national team 2025 March camp. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And welcome to another camp recap. And this one's not going to be fun. Well, if you enjoy some negativity, it's going to be fun. And trust me, we'll try to be positive when possible. I want to start being positive again. I kind of was when Pochettino was hired. But after these two games, it's kind of hard to be positive. The only way this US men's national team generation can save its legacy is with an extremely successful 2026 World Cup, with maybe a quarterfinals run or maybe a miracle semifinals run, which I find unlikely. Even an okay World Cup will ultimately have most people remember this team as a bunch of talented, entitled players with a loser's mentality. So far, there's no evidence that they can pull it off, so good luck to them. We're roughly 1 year away. Now for today's recap, we're going to go through some of the positives, if there was any. Then the negatives, the players that had their stocks go up, that there were plenty actually, believe it or not, players that had their stocks go down, what's wrong with Mauricio Pochettino, and much more. All of that with a special guest and friend of the channel that y'all very well know by now, named Adam, USMNT Stan on X. But listen, before we start, let me know in the comment section down below, 2 players that had their stocks go up and 2 players that had their stocks go down. And it could be players that were in camp and players that missed camp. So that's why I said there are a lot of players that their stocks went up. And also don't forget to hit the like button because it helps the channel a lot, and I will not be asking during the episode. So do that right now. Help us hit 500, 600, 700, whatever amount of likes we need to, boost the YouTube algorithm or rig it. With that said, before we start, a quick word from the sponsor of this video. And thank you, BetterHelp, for sponsoring the channel. Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, therapy can give you the tools to approach your life in a very different way. So for that reason, we are partnering up once again with BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible. And this is an important mission because finding a therapist can be extremely hard, especially when you're limited to the options in your area. But when it's online, you can get a therapist from anywhere in the country, sometimes even anywhere in the world. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it is online. It's remote. And by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist as little as in a few days. And if the therapist that they match you with is not the right fit for you, they will replace him or her for another therapist with no additional cost. You may sign up and register now with the link that I placed on the description of this video, which is betterhelp.com/tacticalmanagertv. That is betterhelp.com/tacticalmanagertv. Yes, we used Tactical Manager TV. That link will also give you 10% off on your first month, and in the process, you'll be helping the channel avoid bankruptcy. So once again, thank you, BetterHelp. All right, everyone, we are back for a camp recap as always with Adam. And you know what's funny, Adam? Before I even ask you how you're doing, where are my manners? But a while back when we were always doing the Berhalter camp recaps, we were kind of like tired of like negativity and all of that. And we were looking forward with Pochettino to start looking for positives. But I do think today's episode, there's going to be more negativity than positives because, I mean, we're going to go through the results in a second. You have to be delusional to get many positives out of this camp. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right. I'm doing great, man. It was great to get back to national team soccer for like half a second. And then, it was like, all the, trauma that we have from the last couple of years of just having kind of a lot of, camps that didn't move the program forward, kind of stuck in neutral, it felt like. And that, I think that's the biggest problem for all of us that people aren't necessarily putting their finger on, is all of us going back to 2020 saw like this big light at the end of a tunnel. Some a bigger light than others, right? Some had grand ambitions. We could win 2026. Others probably more realistic. Oh, this could lead to something cool. But any way you cut it, Tack, it wasn't this, There's nobody in 2020 who said, yeah, like we should be finishing fourth about a year before the World Cup in our own regional competition. Like, so it's this idea that we're like stuck in neutral or even regressing, and we can't get out of the mud, like your car's stuck in the snow or mud or something, and you're just pushing the pedal, and it's like, we can't get out of here. And like maybe you have a little progress and you kind of move forward a little bit, but then like, oh, you like sink back 5 feet and you're like back where you were. So that's how I'm feeling, man.
No, and to your point there, just before anyone says, don't overreact to one camp. It's not one camp. We're coming out of a Copa America group stage exit at home in a group that, let's be real, it wasn't the toughest group. Uruguay, very good. And then Panama and Bolivia. If you're playing at home in a World Cup, I would fully expect you to go through in that group. So once again, and by the way, Uruguay has not been very good since the Copa America, right? They were hyping them because of Bielsa. I said before the Copa America, I wasn't. But anyhow, that's completely off topic.
I'm just going to add one more thing. And it goes back further. It goes back to like post-World Cup when it's like, oh, okay, Berhalter's out now. Let's move on. Oh, he's back. Then also, I thought the early Berhalter 2 era, kind of churning our wheels, like not great results, kind of, finding ways to win late and getting outplayed by worse teams. And then you have one bright spot, right? It's been really our one real bright spot over the last 2 years, which was we won the Nations League. And we did have a positive camp recap there. And it was like, okay, we'll see. We'll see what this means. So it goes back even deeper than Copa to me. It's like it's this whole cycle where we're not moving forward. We didn't move forward with the coach one, and then our results and our, the way guys are playing hasn't moved forward. And that's going to make you more, to me, that makes me more frustrated than anything.
Yeah, and on top of all of that, it's like what you said, sometimes it feels like we're regressing. And we're going to talk a lot about the players, by the way. I know we mentioned Berhalter and Pochettino, but the players deserve I was going to curse right now. I'm trying not to curse. Deserve a lot of criticism. A lot of criticism, the players. And to be fair, even in the Copa America, when people say you guys are focusing on Berhalter, because that was the only thing we could fix right away, the coach, but the players were heavily criticized, all of them. With some rare exceptions. But let's dive into it. So what happened this camp? The U.S. went to play the CONCACAF Nations League semifinals at home in 2 completely empty stadiums. First, we lost to Panama 1-0 with the late goal scored by the Panamanian team in injury time. Here's the thing, just to make it clear. Was the U.S. better than Panama throughout the game? I would say slightly. Did we deserve to win? No, I think 1-0 was fair. Whoever scored, scored. I didn't think it was a game where we dominated to a point. It was like, we just got unlucky. We could have scored. We had some chances, but nothing meaningful. It's not like we were dominant enough to think that it was unlucky. I thought it was a fair result. They scored. And then we played Canada in a game where, I don't know, like it just didn't feel like it did matter, but it didn't feel at the same time. And we should have bounced back, but we didn't. The players also didn't really give it all from what I noticed, from what I thought. But I want to talk about one thing before we talk about player stocks up, stocks down, and all of that. Game number 2 showed me that Pochettino, along with the players, all the poor performances and lack of attitude, grit, passion, and fight for the team, Pochettino made a crucial mistake in the first game that we could even address later, but I want to talk about it now. We saw a team with Diego Luna create a very good goal-scoring opportunity for Aguiman. We saw Diego Luna also put a nice through ball to Weah. And in that game against Panama, that was one thing we were lacking, right? We were lacking a proper 10, a creator, which could have been Luna, could have been Gio. I'm not willing to die on the Gio Reyna hill anymore at this point, but either one, right? And then what Pochettino did throughout the game, the one thing I remember him doing was he removed Tanner Tessman, and since we needed to score to win, he could have put Luna or Gio. But he put Jack McGlynn. And to be fair, McGlynn was fine. It's just not the player we needed at that time, right? He played well, but that's the player we needed. And I think ultimately that's what came back to bite us in the game at some point. I don't understand. And Pochettino even had comments after the game saying, we were waiting for the full 90 minutes, and then we were going to put in Diego Luna. And she was like, dude, wait a second here. Wait, hold on. So you're playing at home against Panama and you're comfortable going to extra time, you should not be comfortable with that. You should go for the win. Sure, you could lose to Panama. They're a very well coached team, and the players are no scrubs. But he was okay going to extra time with Panama, and that came back being a coward like that, because that's an act of being a coward coach, came back to bite him.
No doubt.
So that's one thing I want to make it clear. But I think now what we can do is we can do what we always do here. We talk about players that the stocks go up, stocks go down, then a big positive, a big negative, and we rate the camp, and we might talk about Pochettino at the end. So let's start with the players that the stocks went up, Adam. And you know what's funny? The stocks have gone up. We go back to a lot of the Berhalter camps, now with Pochettino, where the players that the stocks go up are the ones that are not there.
Yeah, I got one of those.
Well, I got a lot of those, but I mean, we all
sure.
know we all know one player. I'm gonna let you go first because I know which player you're gonna point that was in camp, because I think the ones in camp, there's only one stock up, and
For
you
sure.
can take
Yeah.
it from here.
Yeah, you already mentioned him. I think Diego Luna is the one true stock up, right? Like if you bought a stock of this guy before the camp, and then you know the stock market, the player stock market moved after the camp, he's the only one that saw any sort of like significant uptick where you'd like make some money on that stock, right? Like, and you did, and I said this before the camp. Like you and I have actually been fairly critical of, and I think we both like this guy, but we've been fairly critical on these post camp recaps of Tillman when he's been in, where we've just said, hey, I'm waiting to see. And I don't know if we've had a post-camp recap where we've been like, man, Tillman showed up. Finally, PSB hasn't happened yet, right? And like, here's the thing with national teams is like, it just always isn't a one-to-one with club. Like you can be killing it at club and just, you don't quite figure it out with that new group of players when you go to the national team setting. Maybe you're too passive. Maybe like the thing I loved about Luna is, and a lot of people have said something similar to this, is there was like, he's a dog, like we know that. But what I loved is he came in and kind of imposed his will on the better players around him on his own team, where it's like, I'm going to still do me. Like, okay, Christian Pulisic, you're really good. Okay, like looking around, McKennie, you guys are good. But like, I'm not going to like take a back seat. I feel like Tillman takes a back seat when he's on the field. I feel like he's kind of like, I'll just be a cog in the wheel.
Back seat? He doesn't even sit in the car.
I know, but like, but he's kind of like, okay, like pass back. He does a lot of like, I'll be honest, this people might get on me in the comments here. He looks Leggett like when he plays for the national team. Like there's a lot of back passing, there's not a lot of attacking, and I think he's way better than Sebastian Leggett. He doesn't do it. And what Luna did is he got the ball at his feet, and he's like, I'm gonna make things happen. I'm gonna be really aggressive. I'm gonna be assertive. I'm not gonna wait for these good players around me to create something for me. Like I'm gonna put my foot on the pedal. I'm going to get in the driver's seat and I'm going to drive, right? To use that car analogy. And not everybody does that, right? Like, I don't think we've seen Johnny jump in the front seat yet. I don't think we've seen Tillman jump in the front seat. And I'm not saying those guys could do it. Why those guys disappoint me more is because I think they can do it, right? Some dudes over the years, you and I talk about like, he can't be in the front seat. Like, he doesn't know how to drive. Like, and so I'll give Luna credit, man. He jumped in and he took it, and now I'm excited to see like what does Poch do with that, because he's got some decisions to make. If we're full strength in the summer, we could talk about that. But like for full strength in the summer, it's like, okay, who do you bring as the creative midfielder? I think he deserved the chance to come back. If you don't, then what are we doing? Like
with Luna, I even said this in the 7 Things We Learned video. I don't want to hype him and say he's a starter for us. No. I still think he doesn't have maybe the quality to be the starter of this team. But I think he 100% earned a roster spot. He should be in the Gold Cup. He should be, if he's healthy, he should be there. He's earned it. He played with passion, grit. He was tracking back, defending. It wasn't just creating, right? And when you have players like, for example, Christian Pulisic, McKennie, that are struggling and not doing much, Luna did offer something, right? I don't think he has. Not that I don't think he definitely doesn't have the quality that a Christian Pulisic has, but he was more impactful. That is not questionable. That is not something that's debatable. So I would say Luna has locked in probably a spot for the summer. And if he continues to play at this level, he can be a fantastic option off the bench if he plays at this level.
I'll be honest, Hack. Like we're at a point with this program, and I'll probably build it into my big negative, but like we're at a point in the program where like you actually just have to start as a leader of the program. You have to start putting your foot down and being like, this is what's acceptable and this is what's not, right? And like maybe Luna isn't as good as Gio and Pulisic and Tillman and like in terms of player profile, right? In terms of what kind of clubs he can go play for. But I'll tell you what, like if you want to lay the foundation, if you want to send messages of like, guys, this is what we need to do, then you have to reward that. When a guy comes on and plays like that, you can't send him to the bench. You can't not bring him in the next camp. You have to be like, guys, that's what we need. And Tillman, like, you'll get a shot at some point, but like, watch what Luna brought. And you need to bring that, man. Like, that's just point blank. Gio, you want to get on the field more? Like, we know you're like a hyper talent. You got to bring that. And if you're not going to bring that, then like, it's fine. We'll rock with Diego Luna and we won't be as good, right? We won't, but we'll be better than you playing it 30% or whatever some of these guys are playing in terms of their capacity.
Yeah, and just to make it clear, I'm not calling Diego Luna a scrub by any means. I'm saying he's not at a Pulisic level. That's what I'm saying. Or even Gio and Tillman.
If all of our best players are firing, he shouldn't really be he shouldn't be able to get on the field at this point in his career. But that would take all of our best guys firing, right? like
Luna did. They would have to be playing like that. But so yeah, Luna is definitely a positive. And I agree with that. I let you go first because I knew Luna would be a positive for both, like a stocks up, right? A player. The interesting thing about stocks up is, like, for example, I thought about a player like A-Rob, but I was like, his stock couldn't go higher. I was just like, it can't go higher. He was already the locked-in starter, one of our best players, arguably like a top 3 player. And after this camp, he's still that, right? He's still that. I will say that maybe no other left back like Arston or like Scally, no one came close. So, but what I'm going to do for stocks up, can I cheat and just go 2 players at a time?
I wonder if you're going to do exactly what I have written in my notebook here, but I'm excited for it. Do it.
Yeah, I have the 2 center forwards that were left out because
I've got another one. I'm going to do this. You keep cooking. I got some stuff. You and I are like on the same wavelength. That's exactly what I have written down.
Yeah, because I looked at it. Sargent was the one that had an opportunity to finally deliver, and people are going to say, "What does deliver mean?" Look, deliver as a center forward. You don't necessarily have to score. I do think it's past due that he starts scoring because that's part of the job as a forward. But even performance-wise, wasn't good. He wasn't good, and that's why he probably didn't play at all in the second game. So Sargent got another chance, and people are going to say, you're hating on. I don't think Sargent's a bad player. He's really good for Norwich. But it does reach a point where it's like, when is enough enough? Like, how many chances are we going to have to give him before we're just like, dude, maybe another injury crisis, but I think if Balogun, Pepe, and Haji are available, even though I know Haji plays on the wing as well, there's no reason to bring Sargent at this point. It's like, dude, maybe you need to figure out your own stuff and then just kind of play. And then Aguiman, to me, he scored. I'm going to say it again. I don't think he had a good game. He didn't play well. He's big and he can't hold the ball up top. He can't combine. The goal he scored, a goal is a goal. It's true, but it's a terrible finish. He kicked it at the goalkeeper. A better goalkeeper saves that. Not Matt Turner, but a better goalkeeper saves that. So I'm not going to live by or rate the player because he scored a goal where he was well set and he didn't finish well. And outside of that, he didn't offer much. He wasted 2 chances against Panama. 2, if I'm not mistaken. They were good chances. And then Brian White, we've seen enough, right? A 29, 30-year-old in MLS, a good MLS forward, and that's about it. So Pepe and Balogun stock, to me, coming into camp, they were kind of like roster locks already. But Sargent was like, hey, if I play now, I'm in with you guys right there. And what happened right now is Sargent is all the way here now. They're the locks. If they're healthy, it's going to be Pepe and Balogun. And their stocks went up. And I think even Haji's stock went up. We kind of could have used him. He saved us with Gio last year in the Nations League. Yep. But I'm just going to go Balogun and Pepe. Their stocks went up.
So I totally agree with the Balogun Pepe thing. I think they are even more cemented 1-2 and fighting amongst themselves for that, right? I think that is a true stock up moment where it's like people definitely came into this. We haven't seen Sargent, right, in 7 months since I think for Poch's first friendlies maybe. And I think that's the last time he played serious minutes, at least. I think that's the last time he played, 60 minutes in both games. So totally agree. I'm going to give some context to Ajiman first, and then I'll give some context to Sargent. Here's my Ajiman thing, right? Stole my friend's Y-Scout login, went in and was like, God, I've never seen this guy. Just being fair. I don't watch. He's on Charlotte, right? Like
Charlotte FC. Yeah.
Don't watch Charlotte. Didn't watch a Charlotte game last year, just being honest, right? So he scored 10 goals. I was like,
just one thing. He played Orlando in the playoffs, by the way. So
yeah. So I was like, let me go check out some all touches, some, games. And what I saw was a big physical dude. He seems to be able to run, seems to be able to hold guys off with his body, like when he's like making runs, exactly like he did in game one. But his finishing was watching the all touches, like really left a lot to desire. Like what we saw him finishing wise, I think this camp, I think he had 2 or 3 opportunities and missed 2 of them. And the other one, like honestly, should have been missed. It was not a good finish. That's what I saw watching like him last year. Like he could have scored 20 plus goals last year, but he just like doesn't finish great. And then he doesn't have any of the other stuff. Like he was in there because we were going to play more direct over the Canada press. And I think the hope was he could like bring the ball down and like play back to the guys in channels. He didn't do that at all, Tack. Like way worse than Sargent would have done, way worse than a lot of other guys in the pool would have done. So I'm okay without him. Like a bunch of guys are like, no, he could develop. I'm like, then let him develop. Like he's nowhere close to national team level. Sargent, we've seen like 200 minutes since the World Cup. Like I'm not personally ready to like wipe the slate, but I agree with you that if everybody's healthy, he's not in the team.
Yeah, I'm not saying banish him. I'm saying
I was really hoping though, Tad,
be ahead of him.
Because I was so down on the other 2 guys, my biggest hope was like, just let this be Sargent's camp. And we can figure it out. Like, let's get as much data as possible. Game 1, I agree with you. He had one moment. He created a nice little, like the McKinney ball back to him. I think it was Pulisic to McKinney to Sargent. That was nice movement. That was advanced movement, right? Way better than Ajiman standing still and having Luna spoon feed him. Like, I saw something that I'm like, okay, that's good striker movement. Like, that replicates in higher level games. Didn't finish, though. Okay, fair, right? Finished a nice one where he's off balance going backwards, offside. Didn't really have many other moments in the game. So totally fair, but I thought our attack was totally inept. Like we weren't building the play into the final third in that game. Once again, and I've been low on Sargent. I've been saying Sargent way under Pepe and Ballo and fighting with people about that for months. So I don't have a dog in the race here, but I'm with you. I think Sargent has shown some nice things for club. I was hoping to just see more and to get him in a game like the Canada game that was hopefully more open. Maybe Sargent making runs could have been different than Ajiman. Maybe him, I don't know, connecting play in the front could have been different. I don't know. Certainly we haven't seen it for national team. And at this point, if everybody's healthy, he's not going to get that chance again. And that's fine. Like, I don't think Sargent's a game changer for the national team. I really don't.
You have a point. Yes, we could have seen Sargent maybe play with Luna feeding him, and it could have been a different game, right? But at the same time, it's like.
But I don't. But honestly, given the history, maybe not. Right?
Probably not. Yeah, probably.
But
not.
I thought the Ajiman minutes were wasted. Like, Tack, if we're bringing him to the World Cup, like we're in trouble. Like,
no, yeah. I agree with that. That's
unless
something
he seriously develops. I don't think that's happening.
No, so it's not going to happen.
Why waste minutes on a guy that has no chance to go to the World Cup? Just like, I don't know. Anyway,
that's what I didn't get about Pochettino in this camp is wasting minutes with specific players that
sure.
Like you can't go to the World Cup with Arfston playing, with Aguiman, Brian White.
There's no world Arfston's playing. Like no world. Like I don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a waste. Like if anything, yes, you're right. He probably should have thrown Sargent against Canada and let him struggle. Whatever. And then if he struggles, like, okay, we got more data. And dude, what's wrong with you? Yeah, it's just that I've seen enough at this point of Pepe delivering for the national team. And I've seen enough of like Balogun that some people love to criticize. He has 5 goals, 4 assists with the national team already. And he literally arrived after the World Cup. And on top of that, he's averaging like a goal contribution every 110 minutes. On top of that, if you go back to the Copa America, our best player was Balogun. He was the only one that was actually playing well. And we kind of went down against Uruguay when he got, a shoulder injury. So it's just that at this point with Sargent, it's less of me thinking he's a bad player. I don't think he's a bad player. Just Balogun and Pepe are way too ahead with the national team. And there's no debate. So who's your second stocks down? Even stocks up, I mean?
Yeah, my second stock up, and it'll be quick. It's a guy who wasn't there. And to me, his stock has continued to rise because I don't know if you've noticed or not, but since Serginho Dest went down with injury, which correct me if I'm wrong, that was before Copa?
It was, between Copa and the Nations League trophy we won, if I'm not mistaken. Because he was there in that brawl with Mexico, remember?
In Nations League. But it was before Copa, before the summer, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So when you could look at this a different way, right? Like I'm not fully doing this, but like you could say Serginho Dest is really important to this team. Having another creative force that, especially that you don't have to waste a midfield position on, but having somebody who can really create, is technical, good with the ball at his feet, him and Weah, if you want my honest take over the last 4 years, like so many of our attacking opportunities were because he and Weah were on the same side and combining in really nice ways and advancing whoever else was over there, Musa or McKinney. Like I always loved the way our right side worked when those two guys were working together. And I just, you don't see that. We haven't seen that level of competence that I think Serge brings to a side of attack, especially against a low block, right? If we're talking about our biggest troubles being low block, like Serge is one of those cogs that can kind of break the defense down and make plays. His stock continues to rise as he's gone because I'm like, man, we look terrible without him. Like our attack continues to look terrible. And so he's a guy I'm also, I just wanted to shout out. I'm excited to get him back because I think he helps a lot with some of the things that are just naturally wrong with the team when he's not there. I don't think you can overstate the gap between he and Scally in terms of impact on our national team. Like it is, they're a world apart.
Scally is like a wide center back.
Right. Yeah.
That's what it is. He's a wide center back. And again, another little jab here on Pochettino. It felt like he treated this camp as like two friendlies. And that's why he just kind of rotated whatever. He didn't communicate apparently with Coventry because Haji Wright could have been there. Haji Wright played back-to-back full 90 minutes in a span of like 4 days. Hat trick. And honestly, Des played also. He started for PSV, so Des probably could have been an option off the bench in this camp. But it seemed like Pochettino's like almost felt like he was just looking at it as a friendly camp. So like, nah, not worth risking them, which probably should not be the right approach in a competitive game, which we should have won. This camp was as embarrassing as the Copa America, finishing 4th in CONCACAF in our region 1 year before the World Cup at home in a stadium that we have 2 games in the group stage. 2 games in the group stage. Not a good look for the confidence of this group. And I mean, fan sentiment is pretty close to an all-time low. I think it's only better than when we failed to qualify to the World Cup back in 2017 in October. When we failed to qualify to the World Cup, that's probably the all-time low of when I've been following. But I would say like right now,
post-Copa was lower than this. I mean, it was the uproar to get rid of Triple G and
but there was hope. But there was hope.
That's fine, but like it was crazy negative until he left. And I think a lot of people didn't think he was going to get fired or,
but Adam, I think it was like more of like anger of like, get this guy out because we can get back on track now that it didn't. I mean,
see what you're saying. Yeah, maybe the hope.
Still hope that Pochettino gets it going. But right now we're just kind of like, okay, we still sucked. The coach with the pedigree is there, like a really highly qualified coach. If this doesn't work, what else are we gonna do?
What can work? Yeah.
Exactly. So right now, after Copa America, there's a lot of anger and just like, and we were hopeful that like if Berhalter's out, things will quickly adjust because we saw Jesse Marsh kind of adjust Canada very quickly during Copa America. And again, this was Pochettino's first big camp, right? So maybe during the summer we'll see a different team, and he's learning, and maybe it was a wake up call for him. He was like, "Crap! If I don't take this seriously, we can't lose to Panama." Right? We can't just go there and beat them. This is not Argentina, right? Just put the best 11. We're going to beat Panama. We'll be fine. So we'll see. Now let's do the stocks down. And this one, I mean, we could do 10 players each, but I mean, can I go first or do you want to go first?
Yeah, you could.
I'm going to go quick because this player, we already talked about him. I think Malik Tillman's stock went down. He wasn't even in camp, but his stock went down because in the past, like besides Gio, there was no other 10 competing with him. All of a sudden, it looks like Luna, rightfully so, at least with the U.S. men's national team in Pochettino's eyes, he might be ahead of Gio and Tillman right now because he actually performed. So I don't think Gio's stock has gone down, especially because when Gio came on, you kind of saw the talent again that we talked about, right? There's a few moments here.
Some light.
Yeah, and Gio is also in a low, right? He's not performing for the club, so you can understand that not translate. But Tillman has always been in great form for his club, and he just comes in and sucks for us for the most part. So I think that Tillman's stock has gone down. I think Tillman's a really good player, and I hope he bounces back with the national team more specifically because I don't care that much about PSV. But to me, his stock went down because Luna, as I said, I think he guaranteed a roster spot for the Gold Cup.
Yeah, agree. I totally agree with that one. My first stock down is Yunus Musa. I just think he continues to be lost on the national team. And maybe that's Poch's fault for like playing him in a position that I just don't think he's fit to play. A lot of managers have tried to play him there. And he just continues to kind of look lost and kind of rudderless. And even when he got back in the middle of the park, it just didn't look totally comfortable. He probably hasn't trained there much, honestly, right? With this group, Poch has probably had him training at the primary position he sees. And this is a guy, like, remember, Tack, this is a guy who, like, kind of dominated the England midfield in the World Cup. This is a guy who, like, he played really well. Like, I maybe overstating, but, like, totally, if you got to say he hung with him, right? Like, hung neck to neck with, a bunch of dudes who are, world-class players in terms of their price tags. And then
No, I'd say in terms of performance too, like Jude Bellingham, right?
I've seen him outplay the Mexican midfield. I've seen him outplay, really good midfields. I've seen him be a presence and be a massive impact on games for us. And I can't figure out when I last saw that. And I feel like this camp was just a culmination of like a falling stock for the national team. I still have hope that if you can put him into a comfortable position and get him into a role that makes sense, he can help because he's a good player. Like, he puts in good performances with Milan, not otherworldly, but like, you see some flashes with club that are like, okay, there's the guy, and like, but he's really stalled out. His development stalled out, in my opinion. He hasn't progressed in the way a lot of people saw. And I don't know if he's a better player than he was 2-3 years ago. I really don't. Like, that's not something that I feel confident in saying.
I agree with your pick. I'm just going to be a bit harsher on your pick. I think Musa is useless in the final third. As harsh as that is, sure. I think he's useless. Like, he can't really do anything there.
No, he's really bad. Like, always has been though too, right? And that's a part of the hasn't developed. Like, hasn't developed at all in terms of his ability to make a
Might have regressed.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And the other thing with Musa too is consistency, because I've seen him put those performances that you're talking about, like against England and against Mexico. But it's very rare for Musa, even for Milan, to have 2 consecutive good performances. Occasionally he will, but most times he'll play one good game and get a red card or shit the bed on the next one, or just like moments of lapses on defense. So he has so obviously he's talented because we can see him randomly like play well against England in a World Cup. But then he can't do that for 2 games in a row. And then you just start to say, okay, so that means he randomly catches fire sometimes and then just becomes useless out of nowhere. I think his stock is down because if you go back to like 2021, 2022, like towards the World Cup, there were cases to be made where like, hey, Musa can be a locked-in starter for this team. We can't bench him. And right now it's like, dude, honestly, we can't start him. That's the truth. You can't start him. You still bring him in. He has, in my opinion, has to be in the roster, but he hasn't developed as a player in quite some time.
I mean, it's really disappointing, right? Like him and Gio were 19 at the World Cup. Is that correct? Like ish, right? So like, that's shocking. Like, they were 2 19-year-olds, right? And I know Gio didn't play much of the World Cup, but like, you looked at the talent level for their club at that point in time, right? Some of the performances for national team that Musa had, and you're like, where this should at least go to a place where these guys are like good by 2026, right? Like, maybe they'll become like exceptional. Maybe they'll just be good, but good was like a floor. Neither of them are good right now. Like, neither of them are playing for the national team and playing well. So it's like that sets such a lower floor for our national team, where it's like a lot of us were just leaning on, even in a worst case scenario, those are going to be good players. It's going to be good international club players who are really good for our region. And both of those guys are non-existent, right? I mean, they've been really non-existent.
What you said is interesting because when we look back, coming into the 2022 World Cup, we had high hopes for Musa and Gio during it. And to be fair, Musa, I thought he had a good World Cup in general. Not perfect, but a good one, especially for a 19 or 20-year-old. Gio had the whole Berhalter issue, but we knew the talent was there. We were seeing it with Dortmund despite the injuries when you come in and perform. And then when we were projecting to 2026, we're like, dude, imagine these guys 4 years from now. Like, they're 24, 25, hitting their prime. And then you put that with like a prime Pulisic and McKennie. And then that's why we were projecting. It's like, wait a second, we could do something special in 2026. But right now, the confidence is just like, dude, let's just get out of our group and kind of see what happens at this point. That's how I'm thinking. Just get out of the group and then let's see what happens. Because I'm very concerned about the World Cup. I don't think we'll get grouped in the World Cup, even though we don't even know the groups. I find that very unlikely. We'll be pot 1.
Be tough,
but it's not that crazy of a concern when you're continuously losing to Panama at home. Panama is a team that goes to the World Cup to get grouped. So again, but that's not the topic of discussion today. My second stock's down. I mean, Sargent, we already talked about that. Matt Turner can be a shout, but I actually want to go a little bit deeper into one player, and it's Tanner Tessman, because he was quite poor. And even in the first game, he looked worse than McGlynn. And this was also, we talk about, like, for example, Johnny's stock kind of didn't move this camp because he wasn't there, but it would have gone down if Tessman had performed well, because then Tessman would have played and would say, Johnny, you got to play, man. You're not playing well for the national team. So since Tessman was there, his stock went up a little bit before it started, and Johnny went a bit down. And then with Tessman's performance, it went back to this. We're like back to, okay, we're going to have to bring Johnny and start him because Tessman didn't do it. Didn't cut it for us. Unlike Luna, that screwed over Tillman from performing. And I had high hopes for Tanner, and I was actually interested because I think I said this in the pregame, or I tweeted it out. It seems like Tessman and Tyler could be a good combo, right? One is more mobile and can just like do the dirty work. Tessman can pick a pass, good range on his long passes, bigger guy, but he just looked very awkward in the midfield, didn't play well. And then when McGlynn came in, he wasn't perfect, and he kind of just moved the ball sideways very slowly, too much, but he did look better than Tanner, which shouldn't have happened. So I'm going to say Tanner Tessman's stock went down. I still want Tanner to be in the roster in the Gold Cup, and I still want him to get more shots. I don't think he's gotten enough, but he didn't really make a case for himself.
My second stock down, and this is a true stock down, Tack. Like if you bought stock, if you bought the Mauricio Pochettino stock right when he was hired, right? I mean, it was high. It was
like buying Enron in like 1999 and then selling it.
It was bubbly. Yeah. Like it was a bubble. Like it was like, oh my, like, and that's, me for sure. A lot of people were like, it could be amazing. And just if you had to sell that stock right now, you're taking an L. Like, and once again, this does not mean I want to create the realities here as a coach. We're not on the inner workings. Yes, we see him coaching the celebrity challenge. I show speed game. Yeah. We see him going, like, there's a lot of public facing stuff that isn't great. I don't know if behind the scenes he's doing the work. That's the problem, right? I just don't know. Maybe he is having conversations with players. Maybe he has gone to clubs and seen practices. I haven't seen it on social media. Maybe he is, doing stuff behind the sscenes that we don't see. But the stock is down because the public facing, the PR, right, picture that it's painted is, Poch is kind of like chilling. He's been working club ball for a long time, which is a grind. It's a 10-month job, and you don't have the chance to go coach I show speed. You don't have a chance to just go chill and go to games. And it really looks like he's just kind of like, I call it the Phil Jackson Knicks. When Phil Jackson went to the Knicks, they paid him $10 million a year. And supposedly he just like hung out in New York, went to dinner every night, was chilling, was like collecting a paycheck. He's like, I did the work. And it was very much like a paycheck job. I don't know. I don't have enough information, right? But what it's going to take to lead this team is it's going to take a coach who can connect with these players in a way that he can hold them accountable. You can't hold people accountable if you don't connect with them, if you don't have a relationship. You just can't. Like, think about anybody who's ever tried to hold you accountable and say, Filippo, I need you to run harder. Like, if you don't like that guy or if you don't have a relationship, much harder to get you to work hard, much harder to bench you and not have you like totally crush the relationship. Like, I don't think he can bench Pulisic right now because I just don't know if there's a relationship there. I don't know if Pulisic's going to like wall off and shut down. Like, so I don't know. I don't know if he's doing the work. It doesn't seem like he is right now. And certainly there has been regression. Like, that was bad. Like, that was just a bad camp. We looked way worse than we looked last year. And I get that we played better competition, or this is a little bit better competition than Jamaica, but not better enough that like it excuses what we just saw. Yeah, guys were hurt. There's a lot of excuses. There's a lot of optimism of like, maybe this is a bump in the road. Maybe we get everybody back. Maybe he's just implementing. Maybe everybody's going to figure it out. We've seen that, certainly. I'm not saying it's hopeless. But right now, like, I got to hold Poch's feet to the fire. That wasn't it, man. Like, that wasn't it. That was more of what we saw and hated out of Berhalter, right? That was the exact kind of camp that we all crushed Berhalter for years in terms of performances, in terms of lack of effort, lack of leadership, right? And at this point in time, like, he's got to come prove it. And I'm gonna go big here, Tack. Like, if we don't see growth through the summer, if we see more of that, then I think there has to be a massive question within U.S. soccer if you continue to move forward with him, because that will have been a year. And if the Gold Cup goes like that, then it's like Morocco style, like flags up, like we might need to make a drastic move here with 3 or 4 camps left before the World Cup. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't actually think it will. I think he's a good enough coach that we will see growth, but I got to call it how I see it right now, right? And right now it's troubling.
Yeah, I don't know if they can afford to fire him. That's another question.
I agree.
But I will say this: I don't think your take is crazy. Like if we go to the summer and let's say we lose to Turkey and Switzerland in the friendlies and we play poorly, that's already alarming. And then we go to the Gold Cup and let's say we lose in the semifinals. So the first tough opponent we face, whether it is Panama, Canada, or Mexico, we lose. The first one we face. I mean, 1 year from the World Cup, the continuous bad results, it might be time to hit the panic button. Now, the question also remains, like, if that happens and you fire Pochettino, can any coach fix the team? Can anyone?
That's why I said you're at least having a meeting. Like, it better be a serious conversation, and it better be like alarm bells going off here, guys, right? Like, what's the game plan? Because you do get to a point where it's like, okay, if you go into the next couple windows that you have and it's more of the same, at some point you got to make the move. Post Gold Cup's probably a little early. I would agree. But like, I'm just saying, like, there's going to, and in the fan base, there's definitely going to be a sentiment. If we see more of that this summer, like, we're all going to be like, whoa, like, this isn't going well.
Imagine they hit the panic button and they bring back Jurgen. Just okay, he's available, bring him back.
You're right, but that is at the end of the day. It's like, who do we bring in? Let's just not lose the money and let's like hope this guy can figure it out. But you're gonna also have to have a pulse on what's going on behind the scenes, which is stuff we don't see, right? Mm-hmm. Like the people, they're gonna have a pulse of like, are the players checked out? Are the players like F this guy, right? Are the players like, screw this guy? This guy hasn't talked to me one time other than camps. He doesn't care at all, right? Like, yeah. And so I don't know, man. Like, it's stock down though, and it's one of my biggest negatives from the camp is just not seeing the progression I hoped. And I knew it was going to be baby steps and there would be step backwards. That was a big step backwards, though.
That was not a baby step backward. That was like a Shaq getting a step backward, like a very big leg.
I was saying like growth happens in baby steps. So I wasn't expecting to see jumps every time. Like I was fine with some baby steps, maybe a little step backwards, but that was just like too big of a, like you said, that was Shaquille O'Neal taking as big of a step back as he could.
He's just like hopping back on, like doing a backflip. Yeah. It was pretty bad. Yeah, it was alarming. It kind of looked like Berhalter's team from the last Nations League that we got lucky to squeak by Jamaica, for example, with an own goal.
I just want to throw this out there. I want your take on it. This is the flip side that I think is fair. Hey guys, Greg Berhalter forged this team for 5 years. The mindset, the tactics, the player relationships, the culture, all of that is Greg Berhalter's. Can a coach in 6 games, and remember they get like how many training sessions? You probably know better than me. 4?
3 or 4, yeah.
So can a coach in like 10 training sessions and 6 games, can they undo 5 years of what the culture was built as? Like, so that's the other side. Is like, it might just be unrealistic to think that anyone could come in to the culture. Remember the September friendlies? Mm-hmm. Can anybody take over that team and flip it in 10 practices?
But here's the thing. That's why it's extremely important for Pochettino to be firm with this and bring the A team to the Gold Cup, because then he's going to have a full month. That's where he can actually put all his ideas and culture to change. But he has to be firm. He can't go with, no, let's just bring the MLS guys to the Gold Cup. No. You need to bring your best and use the Gold Cup, even though it's a much lower level than the World Cup, but use it to build the team for the World. That's the World Cup preparations, the Gold Cup. If he goes to the Gold Cup and he brings an MLS team, like the roster, like our B team, I'll say, this guy's not serious. Like, you can't be serious about your job.
And I think he actually needs to go further, right? And I don't know if this is done in international soccer, but he needs to say, hey, if you want to be on the World Cup roster, you need to come to this. And I don't care. And if you're hurt, that's fine. Come. We need you there. We need everybody there. We can't have like, oh, Weston McKennie's hurt.
You mean like not 100%, but not like if the guy's like Pepe, if Pepe's still recovering from a knee surgery.
maybe there's some extenuatings, but like I need everybody there, man. Like, look, if you have a month together, there's so much stuff that you're going to be putting in that even if somebody is recovering from a knee injury and they're not there, they are missing so much of the development that you're trying to do with the team. Like, I don't know. So yeah, maybe if somebody has a drastic injury, but like I'm kind of at the point where I would just be like, hey guys, if you want to come be a part of this team, this is kind of all we have. All we have other than this is like 3 days at a time, like 3 practices at a time. Like this is it. This is a requirement. Want to play in the World Cup? You got to get here. And like, sorry.
Yeah. So let's move on here. We did the players stocks up, player stocks down. And if you're watching this video, let us know your stocks up and stocks down. The only good thing about this camp is there are a lot of options to pick for both. So you guys pick yours, and don't forget to drop a like in this video if you haven't already. Now, one big overall positive of this camp, which this is a really tough one. I mean, one big positive is that it's over. That's one big positive. It's done. We got it over with. And I think the only way to look at it, Adam, of one big positive is if we try to be optimistic about the future. Just say the big positive is maybe this was a wake-up call at the right time, even though it feels like we keep getting wake-up calls all the time and we don't wake up. But that's the only way to see a positive out of this. It's like, guys, this could be the wake-up call, and it's still not too late. It's still not too late. But outside of that, do you have a positive?
So, yeah, I was thinking about this last night preparing for this, and I was like, one of my, kind of favorite shows, through the 2000s was a show called How I Met Your Mother. Rom-com comedy show. Right? One of my favorite characters was Marshall Erickson, right? And Marshall at one point in the show's, lineage is working for this like corporate law firm, and he like hates it.
Same as Barney, right? The same as Barney.
Yeah. And so he like hates it, hates his boss. Like, and every day he comes home, and one of the bits on one of the episodes is like, hey, Marshall's been doing this thing where he comes home and he's trying to stay positive about work. So he'll say, I only got yelled at 3 times today instead of 4. Or like, he's basically flipping negatives to positives. And I literally felt like Marshall Erickson. I was like, well, what is my positive? Well, we didn't totally quit in the Canada game. And that is like the positive I came up with. It was like, when we got down 1-0, I was like, oh, this could balloon. Like, this could get bad, Tack. Like, I was like, we might just like quit and like totally go down 3-0 and just be like a total disaster. And just to be fair, it is a positive, right? I don't want to totally negate it. Like, there was fight in the middle of that game. Getting a goal back was good. It wasn't up to snuff, and it wasn't a good performance, but like we did at least see a little bit of fight back. And and then my negative is going to come in here, which is what kind of ruined that fight back. And my negative did, but not many positives, man, unless you're going to spin it like Marshall Erickson. Like, I just don't, I don't get what the positives are.
So it's not even like a positive. It's just kind of like making up a positive. Well, actually, it's not a positive. It's downplaying the negatives.
That's right. Yeah. It's like we didn't get beat 3-1. Like,
we didn't lose 7-1 to Canada like Brazil to Germany. So that would have been pretty bad. Now, in terms of like big negative, I think we kind of talked about it already, a bunch of the negatives. To me, it's pretty obvious. It's that we regressed. It's worrisome, right? And it's not overreacting to one camp. We talked about that. It's been going on for a while, and we're not seeing the progress. And the World Cup is coming up, and I mean, sure, the World Cup is a short tournament, and sometimes teams just catch fire, and that could happen. But based on the data we have right now, it looks like the U.S. men's national team is much more towards a disaster than catching fire and things working out. Of course, it can change, and we hope it does. But if we're rational about it, we ignore the fan within us, right? That because as fans, we can be delusional at times, or we want to, right? We want to believe that something special can happen next year. I mean, look, I've been looking forward to this World Cup for at least 6 years. Even the 2022 one coming up, I was still looking forward to 2026. That was the World Cup we're all like talking about, and that's what we cared. Like, I would have been okay getting grouped in 2022 if that meant a semifinals run in 2026. I would have been okay with that. That's the World Cup. Of course, we want to do it on 2022, but I mean, I can't think of any other World Cup besides that one. here in the United States with a generation that, like you said, a few years ago, we looked at it as like, these guys will be incredible by then. And it looks like we regressed. And right now there's the light at the end of the tunnel is just not there. So that's the big negative to me in this camp. I mean, we could go into details. We talked about like Pochettino's mismanage of the camp in general, like subs, especially in the first game, the roster of not communicating with clubs, because like Haji Wright should have been there, right? And that would have been a better option. Putting players that we talked about, like Arfston, Brian White, Aguiman, that just don't have a future there, right? Probably not giving Diego Luna more minutes, like in the first game, right? Things like that. But overall, it's just like looking at the big picture, we regressed. And you said it with Pochettino. What we were expecting is no moment of regression, just small little steps forward slowly. We were not expecting a big step backwards with him, just always a little bit better. And this one, whatever little steps we took in the Jamaica camp that we beat Jamaica, we are all the way back now. We're back like the Copa America pretty much. So that's the big negative to me. I think that's more or less what we even talked about.
Yeah, I want to give one more point on, because you kind of said like, hey, it can flip. And I do just want to remind people, I kind of have thought about this since I've decompressed from the anger, last game day and kind of the depression and all that kind of emotion of being a fan. In the last couple of days, I've been like, hey, like there is a way out, but it's not easy and it's not for sure. And it's like, look at Morocco, right? Where was Morocco before last World Cup? 6 months before, right? It's about 6 months before, something like that, before they hired.
Yeah, they played the friendly with us like 6 to 7 months prior, and then the coach had to leave. The coach also was fighting and beefing with every main player. That's
right. So different scenario for sure, but you can be in a position, right, where you just don't have it a year before, 6 months before, and it can flip. They're not the only example of that, right? You've seen a ton of other examples where teams show up at a World Cup and they're struggling with everything pre-World Cup, and it kind of flips, right? And they like all of a sudden figure it out and live up to their talent level. North Carolina State in men's basketball, they were an 11 seed in the tournament last year, made the Final Four, right? Why does that happen? Because you're piecing it together at the right time. But it's going to take great leadership. It's going to take great coaching. It's going to take buy-in. It's going to take guys playing a lot of things we're not doing right now. So I don't want to say it's like a given, but it's possible, right? The other thing is like, we're going to get players back intact. I think we need to be almost 100% in terms of health. Like this team almost can't be missing 2 or 3 key guys. Like we're just not there. Like we need everyone to actually make a run. We need everyone, and we need to be firing on cylinders. So yeah, my negative here, I'm going to get a little more granular. The defense tack that we've seen from this team, like it's something U.S. soccer's always been able to lean on through the years, is like being like really solid defensively, even when we weren't a great national team. Not that we are now, but like
it starts with a good goalkeeper.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So we got to look at the goals we're giving up in the last few camps. Like they're so bad, dude. Like the goals this camp were like awful. The center back play and the communication on the Panama goal was so bad pre-Turner. And then Turner, who should just be able to save that, right? Because what we gave up wasn't even that bad. There was a shot from right inside the 18 on kind of like the right angle. And he's like totally out of position and reacts slow. So it's like, how many mistakes? That's just like a total blunder by everyone involved with defense. Then the Canada game, right? Like to me, like you let a guy like waltz. The first goal, he waltzed to like, I don't know, 8 yards into the box from like the sideline, and then just like picks out a pass to a guy at the penalty spot who's like unmarked. And like, yeah, we got a deflection on it, but if you allow that to happen, bad things happen all the time, right? If you just let passes go to the penalty spot and you have to like scramble to defend. And then the second goal was maybe the most shambolic I've seen. Like Mark McKenzie did something that I would be like shocked if like a 5th grade player did, which he's like guarding the best player on the other team, marking the best player on the other team. And he like leaves to take a runner with nobody marking, like picking up the mark. And it's like,
well, and Turner's positioning in that goal too, for some reason.
Turner's just not there for sure. But if you're going to give Jonathan David a shot from 14 yards away, like I actually don't care who the keeper is at that point, just being honest. The first one, I think Turner mattered in Panama. Don't want to excuse. I think he was in bad position in that as well. But it's like, where are we at? And I went back and watched the Jamaica goals because I was like, what were those? Also terrible. Like waltz into the box, cross to a guy at literally at the 6 who's unmarked in one of those Jamaica goals, right? Like 6-on-3, we allow a shot to get off from a dangerous spot and a guy to walk through 5 defenders and get the rebound. Like, we are in trouble defensively. And like, I don't know who the center back options are. I don't know who the goalkeeper options are. And that is a big red flag that I'm like, I don't know what the out is, Tack. Like, I don't see who's coming to rescue us. I've heard a couple people say, yeah, but it's organization. Give Poch time. Maybe that'll help. But I just see a lot of guys making individual brain fart errors. And I don't see them being that much better for club. So, or in Turner's case, doesn't even play for club. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this episode. We talked about stocks up, stocks down, big positive, big negative. Not big positive, a positive. And throughout the episode, I think we touched upon most of the stuff we're going to talk about. Normally, we end by rating the camp. It has to be a 1 out of 10. Like, I can't see it. You can't. There's nothing to give a point here. And we talked about Pochettino too. I'm not buying into the idea that Pochettino sucks. I'm more for the theory that the dude's not taking this too seriously. That's what I think. And that's probably how we can end this episode. That's where we have a little bit of hope, because that means all it will take is for him to start caring and taking this seriously. Adam, anything else before we wrap things up here?
No, man. Let's what's the next camp? Is it summer? Early summer?
Yeah, summer, early June. We play Switzerland, we play Turkey, 2 friendlies, and then we go right to the Gold Cup.
Right into the Gold Cup, right? So a lot of soccer, a lot of games, a lot of practice. I mean, we're going to learn a lot about the team in the summer. And I think until then, it'll be a lot of banter online about all the stuff we fight about all day anyway. But thanks for having me, man.
Thanks again. And everyone, go follow Adam on X. We're probably going to have him back at the end of the summer, or maybe after the friend. We'll see. We'll see during the summer. Depends on his schedule, my schedule. But we're definitely going to have him back to recap the next camp, hopefully with more positives than negatives. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Drop a like before you go. Have a great day. Bye-bye.